I spent about 4 hours, 4.5 to 5 hours playing Professional Fishing 2 the other day. And when a game starts and it gets all the basics wrong, it's very easy just to say, I'm not interested in this, turn around and walk away. And that's kind of what happened with me in Professional Fishing 2. For the first hour, I absolutely hated this game. There's a lot of issues here, a lot of things I would change, but thankfully I stuck with it. And I picked up a task where I had to collect 45 fish of any type within a 5-hour period. And that is what changed my mind about this game, because there is the most important thing, I think, about fishing games is the ability to have a zen-like, chilled out fishing experience where not every cast gets you a fish, but there's enough going on to keep you interested. And this game definitely achieves that. So if you look beyond the horrible controls, the poor or average performance, and the generally unlikable scenery and NPCs, there is actually a really enjoyable fishing game behind it all. Now it is early access, so rather than glossing over all the issues, I think it's more important to highlight everything which I found to be unlikable right now, rather than after full release, because by then it's too late for the developers to do anything about it. My three main gripes are that there are so many audio gaps. There are so many sound bites completely missing, and certain actions and certain things you do have zero sound effects associated with them. And that is very, very, very disappointing. The controls, the character controls, and the animations are clunky at best. Sidestepping completely breaks the flow of animation and stops you from walking, and it's just the most horrible experience. And I really think they need to get that sorted before anything else. And honestly, the overall design just feels so basic. I'm talking about the UI and the interface, and the fact that if you're playing on a controller, it converts your controller into a mouse controlled system. Now, okay, you know, I personally don't find that particularly enjoyable, but and I suppose you can play on keyboard and mouse, and most people probably will do that. But I just feel like the interface is very basic at best, and it could be improved astronomically. So, as I mentioned, for the first hour, I absolutely hated this game. The initial frustrations were just they were just piling up on top of each other, and I think it all starts with the way that the game begins. It just sort of plonks you down near to a couple of buildings, but doesn't really give you any clear guidance about what to do or what to do next. And being a man, I'm not going to read the manual. I'm just going to go
Hello.
at it.
I will buy
So I
fish.
did
Do you
spend a bit
have
of
any
time
fish
sort of
in your
trying to
net for
feel
sale?
my way around, which is not the most intuitive thing in the world on this particular game, especially if you're using a controller. Now, if you're using keyboard and mouse, it's a little bit more straightforward. They get you up and running a little bit quicker, but overall, I just feel like it lacks polish.
Welcome, angler. What do you need? How can I help? Take a look.
Once you actually get down to the fishing, if you've got a target, like for me, it was 45 fish in a 5-hour period, then you do hit this zen like fishing experience. And that's the most important thing. And once you get there, then it's enjoyable. But there are still many things in this game I think I would change. I think overall it's quite realistic in terms of your movement and positioning, the way that you take nets out and place them. And if you walk off, your net's still going to be there. It doesn't magically disappear and sort of spring back into your pocket. If you forget to pick it up, when you go to the shop to sell your fish, you're going to have to go back and get it. And I kind of like that because it's more realistic. I also like how there were rowboats jotted around here, there, and everywhere, and you can jump on them. And you can sit and move around and face in different directions. And other than the rowing of the boat and the physics of the boat, I think they're really, really good. They're clunky and unrealistically slow, excuse me. But I love the fact that you have a boat and the ability to row out there. I just think they need a bit of a tweak and a bit of a polish. And of course, you can swim in this game. Now, so many fishing games do not allow this, and it's never made sense to me why. If there's a bit of an island or something that you want to get to, and there's no boats around, swim it. I mean, nobody's going to do that in reality, but I just feel like it's an important part of the game, and I'm glad it's there. But again, with every step forward, there are 2 steps back in this game. The swimming is unbelievably slow, and should you accidentally fall in, there's no way of climbing back out again. So it's an absolute pain in the butt. The maps are quite large, which is good, although mostly it's not water. I'd say it's about 65% land and the remainder is water. Now, that's just on the first map, but I haven't actually progressed enough to be able to purchase a license for the second map. I like the fact that you have to purchase a map. I think that's pretty cool. And the progress is pretty slow. I've been playing this game for 5 hours and I haven't even earned enough to buy a new rod yet. I wanted to do a bit of spin fishing, but I haven't even reached that point. It's all been float fishing so far. There's night and day cycles, and that's pretty cool, although I must admit, it sort of gets darker in a nice gradual way. When it goes to night time, when it's really dark, it's like someone just turns the lights off. I don't know why it does that, but again, it's like one positive comes with 2 negatives. So it's kind of like that all the way through, but it's early access, so we just need to highlight these issues and hopefully the devs can fix them. Now, I'd say the fish behavior seems realistic enough. The information about each fish type does suggest that they have different behaviors depending on what type of fish they are, what time of day it is, how light it is, how warm it is, whether it's raining or sunny. So, I mean, if that's true, and it does appear to be true, then yeah, I think they've done a really rather decent job in that regard. And there are a decent number of fish in the game as well, probably a good 50 or so different fish types, all with different behaviors and things like that. As for the environments, I'd say the water actually looks pretty good. And the environments overall look pretty nice. I had to play on medium to get sort of decent frames per second. Even then, there was a bit of stuttering. And I did notice quite a bit of distance pop in that style. But overall, I think it's okay. There are some things that are just like plonked down, some sort of objects and buildings and things that just look completely out of place. And I just, again, with every positive, there's a bit of a negative. So we're talking about negatives. Let's just highlight what they are, and then I'll sort of make my sum up at the end. The distance physics in animations, I think, are terrible. A lot of fishing games get this wrong. If you cast out a long cast, that is, basically the float will land not very much beyond your rod, or at least that's what it looks like. Now, there is a zoom system, or rather, there isn't a zoom system in this game. So what they do is they make your float bigger, and you can adjust it between 1 and 10 times the size. But even at 5 times the size, it just looks ridiculous. I found 4 to be good enough to be able to see it, but not too big that it looks ridiculous. But honestly, I'd rather a button that I could press and hold and sort of zoom in and focus on my float rather than having a float bigger than it really is. I've noticed quite a few bugs. Again, it's early access, but there are problems in the stats, and sometimes controls don't work, like the sprint button. Depending on when you press it and where you are and how you're moving, sometimes that doesn't work at all. So for the longest time, I felt like there wasn't a sprint button because I kept pressing the sprint button at the same time, and the animation wasn't ready for it, so it just ignores it completely. So it just didn't work for me for ages. It took me a while to figure out how to make it work. Basically, you have to just keep taking it off and putting it back on until it does effectively start running. I tried it with the swimming. Again, still far too slow in my humble opinion, and it didn't seem to do anything on the boats at all. You'll see what I mean. The rowboats. Ah, what a shame that is. The fact that they've got proper rowing in it is great, but the physics are wrong, and it's all controlled on one thumbstick instead of two. It would be so much better if you could row using the thumbsticks, but uh, that's uh, that's uh, that's something I wouldn't expect them to really agree with me on. But honestly, from an immersion perspective, they could be so much better. As I mentioned, there's no way to climb out of the water should you accidentally fall in, and that's happened to me a few times. So you catch a fish, you're looking around for your net, or you're trying to reel the fish in, and you just fall off the decking that you're standing on. You're in the water, you've lost the fish, and there's no way of climbing out. So you have to slowly swim back to the shore and get yourself back together. I mean, okay, I'd rather that than falling in the water and it just immediately spring you back onto the shore. But yeah, I just think it could be improved. That's all. And there are some logic bugs. I say logic bugs. I did put my net a little bit too far out, a little bit of an angle, and the game then wouldn't let me put any fish in it, which cost me a bit of cash, obviously, because you can't sell fish that you haven't still got. Um, is that a logic bug? I don't know. Maybe I take that one back. Um, but I just think it's an overall polish could be sort of applied to pretty much everything. The tent is completely underutilized. It's literally there to skip time, and it does get pretty damn dark. So sometimes it's essential. And obviously, fish behaviour at night, they're asleep, so they're not really very active. And there's not much equipment at the moment. If you go into the shop, you'll see what I mean. There's lots of empty sections at the moment. I'm not quite sure why this is. I don't know if things are going to unlock over a period of time, or whether it's just that they haven't put them in because it's early access and they're sort of placeholders. I really don't know. But one thing I am glad about, I suppose, is the fact that everything is purchasable. There's no levels. You don't have to get to level 4 to unlock this, at least as far as I know, unless that is why there are sections that have nothing in them. Hopefully not. Hopefully you can buy anything as soon as you have the money. I think that's a much better way of doing it.
Hello. I will buy fish.
Now the NPCs, I don't know why, but they irritate me so much. I hate the way they look, I hate the way they speak, I hate the way they behave.
Welcome, angler. What do you need?
It's just really poor the way they've been implemented, as is the audio. There are so many audio bites completely missing from this game, and the constant background audio is barely average. I mean, it's not irritating, but there's a lot of work needs to be done in terms of audio. There's no even audio on the reel and stuff like that. I mean, I think sometimes there is, but it's so very quiet you can't hear it. But there are, even if there is audio on the reel, it's not fully implemented. When certain things happen, there are certain noises you expect to hear, and they're just not there. It's completely missing. And the biggest problem for me right now is that everything seems to happen in silent slow motion. So the snap when you get a bite and you pull on the rod and you want to get that fish in, it's like it's happening in slow motion. There is no urgency to the animation at all. It totally needs looking at. As I say, I mean, I've been quite negative about the game. There's a lot of stuff that I would change. And for the first hour, I really did detest this game. But once I got past that and I got just focused on the fishing element of it, I really did start to enjoy the game. So they've got to sort out the character movement animation, especially that side step. It's just awful, absolutely terrible the way it is. I can't stand it. They've got to sort out the rowing controls, speed up the boat, give it more realistic physics, change the way that the oars are used so that you can use both thumbsticks and make that more realistic. And I think for most people, unless you've got a really decent PC, you're going to see pretty average performance, constant stutters and that kind of thing. So I think in order to make this a really popular game, they're going to have to sort out the performance improvements. Now, there is a multiplayer element to the game, and they did state that the servers have not been fully tested yet, so they've not been stress tested or anything. So the performance there is not as good as they would like it. But in the brief look that I took, I was quite impressed with what was there. Yeah, it's an area that they have highlighted as not working as they would like. So I'm not really going to comment on that too much. Overall, there's a decent fishing game here, but in all honesty, it needs some serious work and attention and a massive polish to really get it right up there with some of the other fishing titles that are available. Whether or not they listen to the right people is neither here nor there. Hopefully they will. Hopefully they'll take on board some of the criticisms I've made and criticisms that other people are making and try and identify what the most important things are. And I think, honestly, I think the character movement has to be the first thing they sort out because it's the key to absolutely everything else. If that's wrong, then everything throughout the game will feel wrong. So I really think that's the most important thing that they need to focus on right now. Anyway, happy fishing. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Till then, take care.
Underneath the starlit sky, I cast my line. Sim UK's calling where the water shines. Reeling in the biggest dreams, patience is the key. In this world of fishing, it's just you and me. With a touch of British grit and a flick of the wrist, the hook set deep, it's a passionate twist. Lessons from the riverbanks, honest and true. With Sim UK by my side, there's nothing we can't do. Smooth waters under a dusky shade, fishing realistically in the life we've made. Honest reviews that cut right to the bone. In this game of skill, we found our home. Raw feelings on the line, just casting weight. Critical thoughts on the bait, the honest rate. Oh, Sim UK with your real well view. In the waters of life, I'm reeling in with you. To traders guiding me through every twist and turn. Every cast is a lesson, wisdom hard earned. With a rod in my hand, I see clear as day. Living in the moment, letting worries drift away. From the quiet lakes to the rushing streams, every bite a promise, fulfilling our dreams. British shores echo the beauty around. In this world of fishing, serenity is found. Smooth waters under a dusky shade, fishing realistically in the life we made. Honest reviews that cut right to the bone. In this game of And as the sun sets low, casting shadows so wide, I reflect on the journey, the thrill of the ride. Every ripple a story, with truth intertwined. In these streams of reality, our hearts align. Fact-based reflections, that's how we roll. In the game of fishing, it's more than just a goal. With every cast, we dare to engage. Family of enthusiasts, together we stage. UK's guide in hand, we find what's true as we reel in the moments with hearts open wide, fishing realistically